Comment before we begin Kuf Sadi Gimel and Kuf Sadi Hey is regarding being undressed in front of a spouse, in as much as it's accurate that there's no isser on the woman to be undressed in front of her husband. That's an allowance. For example, when she is doing what she's supposed to be doing. And then he should just be careful. I don't think one is going to say, okay, so let her leave, the bathrooms are open, and he walks in, it's his problem. It's a little bit extreme. It means if she's nursing a baby, again, if she's nursing a baby, she shouldn't be sitting there without a shirt on either. And then he walks in like, that's completely inappropriate. It means that the level of cover-up that's necessary could allow for a little bit more latitude in the fact that the Isser is on him, and Beis, the Isser is istaklus, as we spoke about, to gaze. To gaze and to casually see is not a problem, but of course, for her to get undressed in front of him is absolutely illegal. Someone here wanted to make a gezerah up to the whole year. I'm not sure what that was. We'll figure that out another time. And I'm not sure what was going on over there. Making gezerahs that she should never get undressed. I'm not sure. But either way, the hygiene of changing clothes is apparently not so good in that household, so let's not get involved over there. So, that was just comment number one. Comment number two, look, covered our friends in Eretz Yisrael. I just wanted to speak out a case that we didn't speak about, which was 1, 2, 3, we didn't really speak about this. This is a minhag. Kadmainim is that Abba and Ima, Tati and not Ima? No. Mommy. Or daddy, mommy, dad and mom, pop and Nishvas. Each hold a hand of child. Child is between ages of, 2 and 4. And, wee, woo, and gishmak. Okay. So is that allowed during B'mei Niddah? Is that allowed during B'mei Niddah? So you know what, since it seems the Olam didn't think about it, I'm not going to comment. Let the Olam delve into it well, and let's go into Kuf Sadi Gimel. Okay. So, Kuf Sadi Gimel, Dam Besulim. Dam Besulim, after extensive everything, we've come to the realization that Dam Besulim is an Isser up to the fact that there might be Dam Niddah there. That the Besulim Alein, Be'etzem is a Makkah, Be'etzem, but since any time there's going to be Tashmish, there's a concern that maybe there is Dam Nidos involved. Therefore, that will answer. And of course, this comes of the Gemara in Daf Samach Hey, Rav Shmuel Damar Tavai Halacha Bayil Bilas Mitzvah Upayrish. So basically, from this simin, what needs to be discussed is what is called, at what point, they have to be Payrish, at what point they have to be Payrish, and what if the Besulim were removed not via Bias Mitzvah? Of course, the Shaila that is discussed by Rav Moshe. So, which should we do first? What does Olam want? Chavar is getting too much. No? As good chavrus as you're fighting again. Baruch Hashem. So I'll tell you a story. I'll open up with a story, which will open up our minds, and a story. Don't worry, it's a story. And then we'll dive in. The story was as follows: there was a couple. They got married, and they had Bia Rishayna. Bia Rishayna Aser. Why did Bia Rishayna Aser? Because there was dam. We'll go a nice easy case. How much ha'ara, neshika, kolev, roivever. Lemais, there was dam, so it's completely irrelevant, and therefore Bia Rishayna Aser. Beautiful mazel tov. Bracha, Baruch. There you go. Baruch Hashem. Macha bracha, Baruch Asher. Tzog egois vegan eden sheishanas ha'amakim bal yimshol zar b'mayin chasam. By the way, you have to be dressed when you make the bracha. Alkein ayelas ahavim shemer b'toyer v'chik le'yifaro. Baruch ha'boicher b'zaroi shel Avraham. Avadu yitel yadav, because your hands just touched an area that was unclean. And you have to... it's actually interesting that the Chut Shani doesn't say you have to get dressed, but that's pasha. You're not allowed to make a bracha on Libarayis Erva.
It's like a bracha after we're undergarments. Is Hashem's name here?
No Shem Hashem. No Shem Hashem. Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Is it very interesting? No, but he is saying Yitel Yadav. So now, if you're Yitel Yadav, why Yitel Yadav? Yitel Yadav because you're saying Dvarim Shabikdusha. If you're saying Dvarim Shabikdusha, Pashtus, again, Pashtus, don't worry, everyone's getting all nervous about this. We'll talk. However, you only got married once, so whether you did or you didn't, it's too late now. So let's not get all. He's still married. It's not ma'akiv in the kedushin, but Pashtus says he means you're dressed. We have to look at it carefully. Pashtus says he means again. Dress just means any slightly tight fitting. Lefi Ramesha's gather of elasticity that you have to have libay inay royas erva, which means you need two nikudas. The halacha is you need to have number one, the erva is covered, and number two, you have to have a separation between the erva and the lave. And you're wondering, that's not two things, it's one. Well, the answer is, what if you're wearing a robe? If you're wearing a robe or a toga, then you have your ervas covered, but your lave could still be roya as a erva. Or if you're under covers, is a more normal case, you're under a blanket. So your erva is covered, but your liba is still roya as erva, and therefore you need to create a separation. So the way that is done is either putting on a pair of an undergarment or a pair of pants, or you could use your hands, you could push against your chest, or you could take the blanket and you could, what do you say?
You just put the blanket halfway up.
Or you can put the blanket halfway up. Very good, very good. Then it's a shayla, but then your chest is revealed. How you make a bracha with your chest revealed? Okay, say there. Weiter. We're not learning Arachayim right now. It's mutter. But many people don't feel appropriate making a bracha saying Kriyish Mabim Makabel Machas Shemayim with their top half of their body. It's mutter. Yes, it is mutter. If it's mutter to say Shemon Esrei, that is a different discussion. Ayin in the Bir Halacha, which he says that he says you shouldn't, and you should daven two of the next tefillah. That's what Bir Halacha says. Now, but the shayla is, again, we're talking about nothing, bare-chested. Shayla is, does that mean lafuke, that it's a shas chak? It's a little bit difficult. What if someone, you're not allowed, I don't know why we're talking about this right now, but you're not allowed to play this game. You're not allowed to play this game, but if someone wants to know, okay, Shkia is coming, can I daven mincha, all I'm wearing is a bathing suit and a hat. So the answer is no, daven two mayers. Rabbi, I'm not davening two mayers. So, ishtikel yishladim, because the Mishnah Berurah, I think, says that if you davened, you're yotzei. But you're not allowed to do it lechatchila. So it's a little bit difficult of a geder to whatever. But anyways, where in the world were we? So the bracha, whether you make this bracha after Bir Yishayna, everyone could call, why is it?
You're middle of a Maisa.
Hilchas Pesach, I was in the middle of?
No.
A Maisa, no, we're getting to the Maisa, don't worry, I won't forget the Maisa. But the Chaver was getting very, very nervous about the bracha. Whether you make this bracha after Bir Yishayna, is tali in your chassan teacher. Many do. I think b'shaitai we opened up our wonderful friend, the Halavai should be our friend, the Heliga Oil Sarah, and if I remember correctly, he said some make the bracha. Right? That was his. He didn't say anything.
I used that. And I wasn't told.
After the wedding, prepare during the first day. If the wound is rendered, neither if there was no found. We should be consulted. After Kala, no, he doesn't bring down the bracha. I think in the Hebrew one we saw, in the Hebrew one, right? Because this is for the woman. The woman don't make the bracha. But even in the Hebrew one, he says Yesh Aimrim. There are some that make this bracha. It's a bracha on the Bir Rishayna, and that is that. Stam the Netilas Yadayim after Tashmish is also halacha in Reish Mem. Al Kedusha, one is supposed to wash your hands after Tashmish, but Mirta Shem maybe we misshave him. So okay, maybe next year. We'll go there. But let's go. So they had the Bir Rishayna, there was dam. Bir Shniya, there was dam. But the dam was found in two places. Meaning, we say Bir Shniya, there's dam. Where's the dam?
Where was dam the first time?
I asked you the question, where's the dam the second time? Why asked me the dam the first time was? Right. So if the dam's on his aver, good. That's our sikkim. Good. Very good. That's a simple case. No, then it's your ulcer and whatever. Finish. If we totally in Besulim, even be a shnia, forget it. But let's say the dam's not in his aver. Let's say the dam is on his finger. Let's say the dam is on his finger and somewhere on the bed. On the bed. So what's the shayla? The shayla is the Hiliger Moshe Feinstein. Comes along your Moshe. Wait, I wasn't supposed to go all the way, and I was supposed to stop after the story. Let's just go. Comes along your Moshe. Well, let's before you get to Ramosha, what's the Shaila? The Shaila is Ramosha comes along and Ramosha says, what if a woman has a Besulim removed by a doctor? Ma dinoi. Well, Ramosha, what do you mean ma dinoi? Shtein Simikov Sadi Gimel, that when you have when Besulim are removed, you're ulcer. Says Ramosha, Meir Dik Chiddush, that which by the way, very interesting that many. Not that it's interesting that everyone say Mechan Ramosha, but often you find that Gedolei Eretz Yisrael, and this never. Sham Zalman says that Ba'itzi is a Ara Besulim Aldei Nituach. That's a surgery. Yesh Lahakel Sheilun Intameis. K'divrei Igros Moshe. Rav Elyashiv says Me'ikar Adin K'Moshe Pasuk Rav Moshe Feinstein Shemekel Avol Shalei B'Yisad Tzarich Machmirin. Okay, Seder. That's Rav Elyashiv. But Lamaisa, there's Seimach on Ramosha. What does Ramosha say? Ramosha comes along and he asks me, what is the story if you remove the Besulim with an instrument? What is the story? What is the story? So, what does he answer? Mutaris labaylo. Ve'enoi tzrichin zayin nikiyim utvila. Why? Karidam besulim be'etzem damaka. V'rak b'ma sho'itziu al yedei biya osru chachamim. V'loi al yedei hakat eitz umashinkis. And then he goes through the Rishayim, and he concludes, L'chein ein lanu al ma she'matzinu she'osru chachamim shurak misheyatzu habesulim al yedei biya. So now comes along some Gedolei Rabbanim. They want to tell you, wait, what did Ramosha just teach us? If it's removed via bia, it's aser. If it's removed via doctor, it's mutter. Now, I skipped over the reasons Ramosha brought, and this is where it gets a little bit difficult. Let me speak out of the potential heter. So what would the potential heter be? Potential heter be, why is there dam in his finger? Meaning, without getting too... good. That's one of the reasons. That's why I said I'm leaving out the reasons. I'm agreeing with what you're about to say. Let's get there in a minute. So I want to build it up. Ramosha says 2 times it's only ulcer via tashmish. What's Ramosha saying? Because tashmish is the gezerah of dam besulim. Whereas if it's not via tashmish, it's via a doctor, it's mutter. So one maybe would want to say that if let's just play it out. How to get in his finger. It's not that they had tashmish and the dam, we don't know this for sure, which is what you're pointing out, but one could say, it's not that they had tashmish and he broke the besulim with his aver, there was dam that came out of her, and then his finger went down and touched the dam, and then got on the bed. It's a little bit of a funny thing. Well, what's that? One second. That's in the world of Ksamim. Later, if you can say that. I was thinking that also, but I'm not sure if you're allowed to say that. But if he says, then no, he put his finger by Simakam. He put his finger by Simakam. What do you say?
That's only to be matter.
Yeah. Let's just slow. He says he put his finger by Simakam during the Maisa Tashmish. So one would want to say, so you know what happened? I'll tell you the story. He put his finger there by Maisa Tashmish. And then he took his finger out. He didn't necessarily look at his finger at the moment. Then he went in with his aver. And then after the Maisa Tashmish, what happened? He sees dam in his finger and he sees dam in the bed. I'll tell you the story. And nothing to do with his aver. Slow. So now this is the Shaila. The Shaila is, can one say this is the same as a doctor? So the problem is the exact way of reading Ramosha. This was a Maisa Shahaya, and I do know one very large Paisik who I don't believe it was a public story, so I can't say over. It's not a Bavusta name anyway, so it's not going to make anyone whatever. That was willing to be makel in such a matzav. Now, the shaila is, which Eilim here is bringing up, is what the two of you are saying. Is that when you go through the timing in Ramosha, at one point he throws out that the doctor knows bivadai he only took out the besulim and nothing else. You don't have that time. We don't know what happened over here. The doctor could say, I went in, I cut around the besulim and kol tov. He has no clue. One second. The second reason, now this is really gets very nitty gritty. What does it mean, dam chimud? What is dam chimud? Dam chimud, which is what Ramesha leans very heavily on, the reason he says it's the Maisa Tashmish, is it the whole Maisa is a Maisa of Chimud, the Chibuk, the Nishuk, the bed, the Matziv, and then one could even potentially say that, let's say we knew Klape Shemaya Galio, we knew it was his finger, but who cares? There still was the same level of Chimud, and maybe that caused the dam. Now, if you're going to say that's insane, we have a riot, such a thing. Okay, good. We also have a raya. If you remember, there was this interesting type of bedika that we saw back when we learned Rasa Machus Tashmish. And this bedika b'shveiferis, what was the lomdis? It was creating a Maisa Tashmish via an instrument to create if there's going to be this chim and whatnot. So
that Maisa Tashmish was with the shofar.
What do you mean? That would potentially be a marmakim that you could say, meaning this is the gray area. What's called chimur, what's called a ma'aseh tashmish, and can we allow this to be seimachtan? I'm agreeing with what you're saying. L'maisa, that was the story. There was someone that was willing to be mekel on to say it came from his finger. Now it was on a bia shniya. It's on a bia shniya. Whether that changes anything. Does that change anything?
The fact that you thought the first time, maybe you could say that all of the Besulim was done over there, and now it's not.
Well, if you assume that.
No. So that good. So that why don't we say in any case? He's right. So any time there is a dama the second time, we don't say oh wait, it's Rosh Bachas Tashmish, it's a problem. We say it's still Besulim. Even in the case of the doctor. So.
What's the difference?
You're trying to say that there.
No, I'm trying to say that she's us or just nothing to do with it.
Ramesha says it explicitly, Bali. This line, Ramesha says that if you find dam afterwards, after the doctor removes the Besulim, says Ramesha, you have to still wait Zayin Nikim Vizitzval. Ramesha says, that's explicit. So,
What would be the
I'm saying to answer this question.
What would be the only reason to nod to her would be Alt's instrument?
Yeah. I mean, without Ramesha, of course, there's nothing to talk about. They had Tashmish, there was Dam Koltov. I'm saying, finish.
No, so I don't even hear any way you can nod to her.
Ramesha.
Ramesha what?
Ramesha says, if it's not via, I'll read his words again. Ein lanu elamasha metzinu. It's only what the chiddush, because Ramesha starts off his whole premise is be'etzem, it's a makkah. If it's a makkah, why in the world what's the whole sugya? Which is the question the Rishayim asked. The way Ramesha learns the whole thing, ein lanu elamasha metzinu, that what? Ovacha asru chachamim shurak ksheyatzu habesulim al yedei bia. And if it's not via bia, it's not asr.
That's the world of Besulim, and the world of just finding down.
That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the world of Besulim.
Yeah, but
We're in the world of Besulim.
we also have to discuss the
Go on.
there's down with the guy. Maybe it's
It's not no dam with the guys. No dam in his aver. If there's dam in his aver, nechanami. Listen, you want to go back that it's a kesem al gufa.
yeah, forget Besulim.
First of all, manashach. It's not gonna. They won't answer anyways. Then, if you want to go that route, it's not enough dam to answer. If you're gonna say it's a kesem, for sure it's mutter. But we don't say that in the world of dam Besulim. We don't say that. Oh. No, please, because we have no clue where it came from. We have no clue. I don't know. Yeah, what do you mean? We have a Sifat Shulchan Aruch. Kesem al Gufai on his guf. You still have a gris. I'm saying. He's not on his aver. Not on his aver. On his aver was a whole shayla. If you remember, it was like a very confusing point that it says on his aver. It sounds like you don't have up till a gris, but the shayla is why not? Shayla is why not? And we saw some achreinim that asked the shayla, and it's a very unclear point. It's very unclear. But part of the reason there is it's a suffix daraisa. So it's a little bit more confusing. But that was the potential kula. Halachah. I actually just I asked someone who's actually also learning Niddah now. What he thinks about this, and he told me that when his Rosh Kollel didn't think you could be mekel, it's a massive kula. Ramesha already is a kula va'id. And this I didn't get a chance to see. There's a marsham in Aleph. No, it's definitely not Ramesha. No, it's definitely not 100% what we're talking about. No, it's certainly wasn't. Let's just we're being trans. No, because the problem is, as I said, when you go through his timing, he throws around. So we don't know. That's my point. Is that Ramesh is a kula? And if you don't have 100% what he says, yeah. There's no way to know. We only have his tshuva. So hagufa. No, if you were to know, you're right. If you would have said klar, problem we don't have that. And in his timing, he throws out that the doctor knows for sure, and he also throws out this chimut svara. It is a little bit confusing. There's a marsham that talks about this case explicitly, and he's machmir. That's the problem. The marsham in Aleph, I didn't get a chance to see it because I totally forgot about this whole shmooze till this morning. Aleph Reish Yud. The marsham, I believe, he talks about dam on the finger. I think he says it's the same din as via bia. I think that's meaning in the equation. Forgetting Rav Moshe's doctor, the marsham felt that it comes in the finger. It's a via bia, and therefore, then the whole shayla just unravels.
Then you can't, what I was saying to you before, then wash it first, you should be able to use a finger.
No, so that's because over there you have to fill up the whole area, and that's a whole whatever going on over there.
That's the same thing.
No, klape besulim. That's what it means. Mm-hmm. Good. Now, okay, so that was very exciting. Baruch Hashem. The point of this whole shmooze is that there is potentially areas of kula, and in the matzvah of Shas Chak, one has to know to discuss it with higher authorities. That's the what is it? What is it? Telephone your number?
Is this with the finger on Bia Rishon or specifically?
No, so l'chayr there's no difference. The Maisa Shahaya that I heard from the first-hand person was Bia Shniya. But in Sugya there's absolutely no difference. There's the same Taliyah Besulim, the same whatever. The L'chayr there's absolutely no. I'll tell you, no, there's one slight difference. And the slight difference could be in the world of Shas Chak, you could play this both ways. One could maybe taina that in this particular story that they had a Bia Rishayna Gevaldik and the Bia Shniya unexpectedly there's dam on the finger, and that's always a difficult story. Maybe there one would don it as a very, very large Shasat Chak Mash Inkin. Maybe on a regular Chas and a Matziv, everyone knows as soon as it's done there's ulcer, so it's not as, maybe the shock factor is less, and maybe it creates less of a Shasat Chak perhaps. But in the Sugya Shabbat there's no difference. Okay, so now once we know Ramesha, so first of all, Stam, it's very important. Lamaisa, we're making like Ramesha if the Besulim are taken out with an instrument. Many, I don't say many, a lot, little, who cares? There are women who have an issue getting the Besulim out via Tashmish, and they go to the doctor takes it out, and now we see, based on Ramesha, it doesn't make her ulcer. It doesn't make it. There is one line, can I read? I shouldn't do this, but Nishalti me'echad, okay? Why? So this guy is having an issue doing Bia Rishayna. Then he says, the imel lo yivol ba'isa yoim amar harayfe she's lochash yidak oidapam. It's going to close back up. In Yish B'zeh, that's like the highest level Shas Chak in the world. Right. But I just wanted to point it out. Meaning, but then when he goes weiter.
In that case.
Yeah, he goes weiter. And maybe, this is where Eliashiv came from. Meaning, in a regular case, a woman who has the Besulim taken out, and
So just wait 12 days, and then do that?
yeah, exactly. Just wait 12 days. I'm saying a woman will become ulcer. Is that...
Right here, they can't be together. Right here.
Yeah. So that's what Ramesh says. So I don't know.
His don't sound like that.
Correct. No, 100%. When he continues the b'tshuva.
He's answering this shayla.
Yeah. No. So.
Speak out only this case.
No, at the end of the thing, you could say, Kivan sheyesh zadchag, y'all look like.
No. So I'll tell you. You're saying a good point. L'maiser Moshe writes elsewhere. The reason I write the taimim is to learn from my tshuva, and not only apply it to the case. They asked Moshe. I think the guy put it in the kitzer. They asked Moshe if they. I think that's what I don't remember. If they could write a kitzer or Moshe. Just all the psakim, gishmak. I think Moshe put it in the tshuvas, and he responded to the guy, absolutely not. And I think the guy put it as like his akdama to the sefer. Very gishmak. I think I don't remember. I think so. I think so. The Rav Moshe answered, absolutely not, because the reason I write the timing is to learn from my tshuva. And he says, don't, which basically, by the way, that means when you see like those 20-page tshuvas, don't just go to the last line and say, oh, Rav Moshe's Mekel, Rav Moshe's Machmer. So that's what the Chayra, even though it's his case, he never once goes back to that case.
He never said.
Right. Now, but you see that he's doing the very high level Shas Tzchak, which the Chayr just brings out Rav Elyashiv. Rav Elyashiv says there is a lechatchil b'machmer. What's the nafkamina? Nafkamina is in a case of a woman they can't get out the Besulim. They've been together for the last chveis nishvas. They weren't successful. Now she had to go to the doctor. Again, every case is different. One can say, no, it's the biggest Shas Tzchak because they've been having such issues and now they finally want to be together like a mensch. I'm not weighing in. I'm just saying, l'chayra, there's something to keep in mind that it's not just like galat. Okay, that's number one. We move on, and now the $1 million shaila is, so why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do this before every chasana? Get rid of the Besulim, and, be done with it. So, the Paiskim talk about this. Mice all the Paiskim are machmer. There is, famously Rabbi Badi from Lakewood in Shuvas Ar Yitzchak that he wants to be Mekel. I actually found it fascinating that Rosh Zalman Arbach commented. This is, you have to read it properly. I only have a snippet of it over here. Rosh Zalman, I can't figure out where it's in. Oh, we don't. I have it. Okay. Rosh Zalman commented on this tshuva of Rav Abadi, and he says, "Lamaisa, you have a beautiful build-up, but in Yachli Kabbalah is maskana. I'm not Makabel your maskana." Now, Rav Abadi says a different, interesting chap, which in the sugya everyone can appreciate, that why can't we say, and let me just say this right, if a doctor says, she goes to a doctor before they get married, doctor says she has Besulim, they're together, and there's dam, why do we not say, what's the chash of dam Besulim? Maybe it came from Makar. No, it didn't. I saw the Besulim. It came from the Besulim.
Yeah, but maybe there's blood from the Makar said to that.
That's the whole.
What?
What about the
Okay.
Okay.
So you're right and you're wrong. You're right and you're wrong. Good. The Maisa, Rishon Zalman. No, Rishon Zalman has better answers than what I'm saying. Rishon Zalman.
What else is?
No, I'll tell you. Rishon Zalman. Okay, let's leave it. I just found it fascinating that Rishon Zalman in the Sefer Shulchan Shlomo comments back on this idea. Fascinating idea. So again, here I'll read you. I'll tell you, it's very sugidik, so it's difficult. I'll read you the words. He says, "Avar te'el varfan." He says, "Dim kidvarav in shichin kal roife." If you're right, what do you need a doctor to say that you definitely have Besulim? I just lost my place. What do you need a doctor? Yeah. Chol naira ibegeres tina manas alatz molayim sheish lo Besulim. Sheyedas margisha bezeh. She knows it. V'gam kol Besulim is eres ma'oid b'bedikos. And she did bedikos leilach, let's say she knows what she did bedikos, that it hurt her because there was Besulim there. She didn't go very far in to make sure. Besulim dvarel, emhayel ke'evim, v'gam yatzam bevilas mitzah. He throws out 25 reasons. He doesn't answer like the Chaver answered. That's what I want to. Now, it could be that you have to read the whole tshuva. Obviously, he has more than just saying get rid of the whole Kuf Sadi Gimel. But I just found that fascinating that Rosh Zalman responded. But with that hakdama, that this, in as much as Rabadi was a Mayerdik Goin, unfortunately, there were some areas that he differed from mainstream Sak. Lemaisa, when he lived in Lakewood originally, he sat on one side of the Aron Kodesh, or Schneier Cutler sat on the other side of the Beis Medrash, and every Friday night there was a line for both of them, Te'as Shailas and Seged Shabbos. So he was a Mayerdik Goin. What happened, the Chveis Nishvas. But I'm not saying that we're going to do what he said. I'm just trying to say that it's something to reckon with. Now, the answer is we go to Gedolim, obviously. Now, comes along all the Gedolim, they say, Avada, take out the Besulim before you get married. It's illegal. The reason they say is, so I'll read you Rav Elyashiv. Chazal oimrim sheini isha kayursa bris ela misha asa kli. There's a kli says bris with the husband when he created into a kli. The Shevet HaLevi writes, no, that's not Shevet HaLevi. The Chachani is a bit more violent. the Chachani comes along and he says, also lastly is Kidvarim Halalu. He's talking about doctor removing it. Shari Kachet to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Briyasai. Hashem made the teva of the Bria Sheisha Shemeres Al Besulim Siman. She waits for her husband. V'zeh Asher Mishmar Alel V'Chalilo Lasi Zechbich Mibrias Ha'isha. You're going against the way God created woman. Shesricha Liyas B'Tiva Shemur L'Bayla. Ve'imit Raglin Lasi Tachsisim. Ve'hamsayis Elu. And if you're going to do these different schemes and operations and whatnot, Ma Yishmar Al B'nai Seinu. Who's going to watch on our holy daughters? Masha Amr Zechs Yivamis. Then he goes into Tamar V'chulu, and he says, Lulei Zois Chas V'Shalom L'Freitz Keder V'Lasais Kidvarim Halal.
Sounds like a scuffle.
What's
So this is why I wanted to read it. Yeah, part of the reason I wanted to read it is to end with a shayla for the Ilam to be mavir.
So she should get a certificate from the doctor.
I'll tell you, the reason I wanted to read is what happened to Yusuf on the Drisha and elsewhere. It's called Bias Mitzvah, right? Why it's called Bias Mitzvah? Because it is a mitzvah. Now, Yesh Ladin, is it what's the mitzvah? It's one of the 613 to be Baal Bias Mitzvah? I don't think so. There's a mitzvah Aina. Mitzvah Aina.
Make the bracha if you don't break if
There's no shame of malchus on the bracha for a reason.
It's the mitzvah of marriage. I'm saying
It's a mitzvah marriage. So, but you getting married you already got married.
Yeah, but and that's why.
So good. So I'm going to leave this. The reason I read the Chachani is for what Moshe said. That's exactly what I was thinking. That the Chachani is, which a lot of his reasons are beautiful, but like, why is it a more yisodi? Like Rav Yashiv talks a little bit more to us. That Ein Isha Karsa Bresel Misha Asakli. Even that you say, okay, so I had to make her a kli. No, like, okay. I just wanted to throw this out. They do quote, in case you're thinking you missed the boat. They quote b'shem Haintika Gedolim. Avsha be'emes ein iser b'davar. There's no iser. Abel vade ein lasiskin. Elam kim yish seirach. So I wanted to leave it at that.
who you were treating?
That was the quote Ray Berkowitz is saying.
But it first says that it's for.
But I would say before you say anything, obviously b'makam hatzayirich that the husband can't get it out. It's for sure mutter. No one here is saying it's usher. We're just discussing the removal problem. Yeah, we're saying Rabbi Forrest, not first. First is Chicago. Forrest is for Akwa. Yes.
It says that,
yeah.
He says that the reason why you do it is so that at the beginning of the marriage, right away, that after the initial.
There's a separation.
There's
Seder. Okay, again, that's hashkafa, like Ramesh said. It's a beautiful hashkafic shmooze, and lo yedei what I should tell you, Which again, that goes into more fundamental shallow, which we're not going to talk about now. Is that obviously there's an Inyan. Now we should maybe just think about this more. If the whole bias mitzvah is not a proper mitzvah, and all what you're doing is your kursa bris, asas kli, what's the big rush? If it's a mitzvah, okay, it's reason makdim la mitzvah. If it's not a mitzvah, it's just like, yeah, vada, it's the hashlamas hadavar.
It's not right because you might be shechaz if you wait.
Okay, Seder. So, but again, Yisladin, I mean, I know the Zohar, and the reason why we quote a Zohar, that it's the biggest Aveira, but the Stipler writes, obviously everyone knows in Garas Mechtavim and Kreina Digrisa that Avada, if B'Shas Tashmish, one is trying to be together with his wife and there's Zera that doesn't end up in her, it's not Levatala, it was all part of the Maisa. So I'm just bringing out the unspoken Shaila, is that Kol Zaman, there's not a proper mitzvah or whatever that is. Where's the violent whatever you have to get it done the first night, and maybe this is where the Velt is slowly got to a point that is not so important because it's an Indian. It's a Vadan Indian, your Karsa Bris, and Inisha, the whole Bria of Isha was made for this moment, and you want to get it done, and it's the shlama of the wedding, and you're becoming one union, and the Alpi Kabbalah writes that there's a connection la Lamala and a connection la Mata, and it becomes one big clean. No, I don't learn Kabbalah, just that's what they all say. I have no clue what that means, but I'm just quoting what everyone else does. So it's true, but okay, let's leave that. Let's move on. Now, what's called Bia Gemura? And with this we conclude. What's called Bia Gemura? So the Ramah says v'nagul lahakil nagamar bia raka araba v'lei rasa dam avalim ba allow bia mamish sarach lifreish mimena avli shlei rasa dam. So Number one is if there's dam koltov. So I can tell you, you're usher and finished. You're usher for 4 and then 7, but we point out that it's usually not 4 because if she was on pills prior, she stops taking the pills and then it's going to be at least 5 and then 7. There's one other halacha that's different than regular, is that he is allowed to be on her bed, not with her, on her bed. Now, whatever this chiddush is, that even though it's a similar chiddush, you all asked the same question, we learned on Chakas, it says over there, he's allowed to touch her sadin, shetzmluchlach bedam. And everyone said, what's the issur to touch her, to touch those sheet? So it's a similar thing over here, you see, that the bed, and it just shows us that we have zero shaykhis to their world of intimacy, that the bed is this intimate matzav. Sitting on her bed is going to be like whatever. We don't fully versteh all these things. But over here, the halach is you're allowed to sleep on her bed, even though it is meluchlach bedam. I guess the nafkamina theoretically would be is that if there's 2 beds, well, there needs to be 2 beds. If there was to be a gemura or someone sleeping on the floor, but if there's 2 beds, who's in which bed? Theoretically, no, not theoretically, practically, he's allowed to be in the bed that they were on together / she was in. Meaning, let's go in a case that it was what? It's not shalom bayis. What do you mean?
He should stay in the dirty bed.
Oh, very good, very good, very good. No, but I'll tell you, no, the reason why it can be very negeya is what happens if it's not clear which bed. Meaning, let's say you have, not everyone goes to a fancy hotel, so maybe it's whatever. People go back to where they're going to live. They go to the apartment. So in the apartment, there were 2 beds together. So they were together on both beds, b'shas b'yar rishayna. And then they were matzliach, and there was dam. And now it's like, we were sort of on both beds. Now what do we do? Well, let's see. Oh, so I'm saying I'm just bringing out where this could be very nageya. That lamaisa, you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, it's my bed, it's her bed. Start changing sheets and mattresses and flipping around the whole room at 4:30 in the morning. Whatever it is. Lamaisa, you're allowed to sleep on her bed. Okay. So if there's dam, they're aser. If there's no dam, they're mutter. If there's ha'ara, if there's gemar bia, they're aser. If there's gemar bia, they're aser. There's gemar bia, they're aser. What's called gemar bia? What's called gemar bia? So it's a big machlokes. As we saw, many we'll call it Gedei Yerushalayim, Chachani, the Shevet Levi, etc. come along and say, once you have Roiv Ha'Iver, then it's not Ha'ara anymore, because you realize we have extremes. Anytime you have extremes in a halacha, it's very difficult where it's in the middle. Ha'ara means, we're not sure exactly, but it means Hachnasa as Ha'Iver, at some level. Pashtus Nishika is just touching, Ha'ara is going in a little bit, and then Gemar Bia. So, what about everything in between? So many Gedei Yerushalayim say, once it's Roiv, it's going to be a problem. We saw that the Chachmas Adam says explicitly Kol Eiver. We saw the Semach Tzedek says explicitly Kol Eiver. And now, so what to do Lamais is very difficult. But because of the difficulty, L'chayra, there's Harbe Makam Lahakel, like the Chachmas Adam. We'll say it like that for the moment. And the final halach is, it seems there's an Aruch HaShulchan that says even the second and third time, you have to check the sheets. You have to check the sheets to make sure there's no dam. L'maisa, many Heintika Paiskim, I'll just read here from the El Sari, he writes, you're not required to check. You're not required to check following the Bia Rishayna. He says, unless she felt a tearing sensation. If she felt such a sensation, which by the way, if you now go back to Aruch HaShulchan, it could all be L'shitasai. Because they're all very busy, and everyone might be wondering, I just told you what a Bia Gemur is, why didn't I mention pain? That's just pain is a very difficult way to, very difficult limit test. But if she doesn't have such a pain, there's pashtus, no reason she has to check the sheets. Whether, Lidis is a sarchi, and I don't have an answer to this question. I know different people are taught different ways. Does she even need to have a white sheet down at Bia Shniya? Meaning, If you're going to check, l'chayra has to be white. What if the sheet's black? What if you put down a black towel? L'chayra le'yedea. We'll leave that as a tzarech.